Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another glorious episode of Sandwalking. Yay! Hello. um, yeah, we're back. Yay! Sorry about last week. Migraines, they suck. That one just didn't want to go away. But we're back and we got lots to talk about. It has been a crazy busy week. So the week before was the big patch with a lot of stuff that they talked about, some this and that and the other. We'll talk about those things. And then this week we had the Gamescom, so we've got all that stuff to talk about. So exciting times. Never a dull moment. Um, so ad starts in a minute. Before that, my son asked me to remind you that I have the brain cell today. So maybe I can make buttons do what they're supposed to do and all that good stuff. So I have buttons and content and lots of things. Remember, I have notes written down. So hopefully brain cell continues to work. The brain cell returns, and you can tell there's not a brain cell in there because you just look at that face. There's no brain there. Yeah, he let me borrow the family brain cell. Yeah. Okay. Um, so ad is incoming. When that gets back, then we'll start all the stuff. Let everybody kind of come in and do their thing. But yeah, we got stuff to talk about. We've got the PowerPoint of power. We have drops. You should be getting drops if you haven't already got your drops. And we have, oh gosh, we have a lot to talk about. So hopefully we can get through all of it in a reasonable amount of time. I'm waiting for this ad. Aw, thank you for that. Yay, subs. That was very kind. So I think a lot of people here already have subs, which is awesome for us. So yeah. Yay, hype train. Yay, brains. If someone can let me know when the ads are over, then we can get started for realsies. I don't want to exclude anybody or don't want to start this stuff. But just while we're doing it, yay! Things to remember is I gotta get this admin stuff out of the way. I do have merch. There it is. Exclamation point merch will take you to my merch stuff. My son designed all this stuff. uh, so yeah, exclamation point merch. If you're looking for my community, we are online on my Discord. Exclamation point Discord will take you to my Discord. We're pretty laid back. We just kind of nerd out. We don't have anything, one particular thing that we're doing. We just kind of hang out and talk about Dune or Star Wars or Warhammer or Fallout, or lately it's been a lot of cooking. So we have no expectations other than we just be respectful of each other. If you have not already purchased the game and you are doing the freebie weekend and you have decided to purchase and because you think it's awesome like the rest of us do, you can purchase through my link. It should be exclamation point Dune purchase. It doesn't cost any extra. It just gives me a little kickback. So if you can, I would appreciate it. All right, the community is back. Yay! But yeah, exclamation merch, exclamation point Discord. And yeah, there we go. That part is out of the way. Yes, we talk about food a lot. Kiloe is really bad about showing pictures of her amazing food and teasing us. And Paulo does all of this stuff in Brazil where he does like these things on the grill, and it's torture every time he does it. He's a mean man. But yeah, we're pretty chilled. We're pretty laid back, I like to think. So we do have two You play for a week and you're already in the deep desert. Hey, if that's what makes you happy, there's lots of stuff to do. Um, I do have two codes for the new banner. If you haven't already seen it, it was pretty kick ass. I don't know if they are going to be offering it any other way right now, but for now, it's only through content creators. Various ones are giving away various ways. We'll be doing a thing here in a little bit for the two that I have. No subs or anything like that required, no following or anything like that. So just whoever, you know, we'll give those out. They do look pretty great though. They're the same size banner as the one from the Discord thing from before, so it's pretty nice. Or make friends with somebody who's got one. I hope they give out more because they haven't given out a whole lot of codes. So maybe they'll give out some more. They don't tell me anything. So I've done the shameless plug bit. There we go. The shameless plug is done. For those of you who are new, I see we have some new people. My name is Meg, also known as DeadWomanWalking, a longtime gamer. I've been playing video games and things for quite some time. Always a good time to be had. Trying to think. You can't see it, but above the Dune books, or I've got some RPG books. I've got my Expanse books and my Dune books, and with the Dune books, it's a D20 system. So I've got the Atreides D20 dice sitting up there, and I got some Harkonnen ones, and my son promptly took them. So, oh well, you know, took my dice. Let's see. So that's introducing me. We've been doing the podcast. This is episode 15. Woo. Yeah, it's been an exciting thing. I bet a D100 like rolling like a golf ball. And it reminds me, I got a really funny argument with somebody because they insisted that rolling a D100 was the same thing as rolling two D10s. And I'm like, it is not, because on a D100 you can get a 1, but on two D10s you can't. So there you go. Anywho, because percentage-wise, you can only get a 1, you can't get a 0. I guess we are ready. I have a big PowerPoint today. Shocking, I know. To talk about all of the updates and stuff. Some of it might be stuff that y'all already had a chance to talk about and look at, the updates from last week. I didn't get a chance to watch the Gamescom stuff live, so some of y'all might know a little more about it than I do, but that's okay because we're here to talk about it, right? I'm not the expert. We're here to talk. This is a community-driven event, right? It's community-driven. And as exactly, and this guy was willing. That was the hill he was going to die on. That rolling 2d10 and the same as a D100 was the same thing. Like it's not, but okay, whatever floats your boat. Whoops. Buttons are already happening. We are already having button issues. So sorry about that. Many thanks to Frosty, who had the idea to use this background from the audio story from, yeah, because it's pretty kick-ass. That was a great idea. Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's, look at my PowerPoint. And I have the mini buttons. Like I said, it only lets me set up so many things ahead of time. That looks really good. Thank you, Frosty. This was a great idea. Okay. Episode 15. Here we are, right? One of the great pictures I managed to take in the deep desert. We talked about this before, how there's just some scenes every time you see them, you got to hit the print screen because it's just a great shot. Tools. There are a variety of tools that different people have put out. I'm a personal big fan of the Awu tools because it just lets me know what's up and what's down. The wiki is there. Yes, don't forget F6. If you're taking shots, F6 removes the HUD, take your shot, and then immediately turn your HUD back on. Because if you run around without the HUD, it can do it doesn't like that so much. So it can choke on you, and you could be in a world of hurt. Because I took a bunch of these shots flying around the deep desert without the HUD on, and I was very nervous about this because you can't tell how high you are. So do be aware of it does have its risks. But yeah, Agua Tools is the one I use for server status. The wiki is good. Lots of people are using the Dune gaming tools for a variety of things. So you have options for how you find out information about the game. So it's always good. Desert Dispatch, we have lots and lots of news, right? We have lots and lots of news. The drops are still ongoing. Don't forget that those go on until the 4th. You only need to do a total of 2 hours. Watch anybody for 2 hours if you just mute it in the background if you don't like it. Extra building pieces. They've been very generous so far with goodies for the game just dropping. So there's like the Discord banner, and then a whole bunch of drops, and so there's just lots of great stuff. Oh, the wiki event. Yes. I don't know if I have that slide. You should have told me. You should have told me. That's on you. You should have told me. You know where to find me. Gamescom is still going till tomorrow. I know Iggy is there. Believe I'll go over. I know it's Iggy and Storm and Ole were going. There's probably others, but I know specifically those three were going. And if you've been following them on Twitter, there's lots of great pictures of what they've been doing. Yes, Ole is there. One of the things that they did release this last week that's quite exciting is the roadmap. And this is stuff that we've been kind of talking about for a little bit. People have been saying there's nothing to do. And I'm like, they have a plan. This is kind of the gist of the plan. So we know chapter 2 is coming, because we've already done act 1 and act 2. We knew that it was going to continue. We knew that there would be more information coming, and there was more of the story coming. Then chapter 3 and chapter 4, they've got a 10-year plan for our characters and story stuff to happen. Wiki event. Prestoid, do you want to tell Witchy Kitty about our wiki event? Jill doesn't always. Yeah, there's the plan and there's what happens. But the wiki event is a building contest event thing through the wikis. The Dune Awakening wiki has a server that they play on, and they're doing a big building thing, going back to that site. You should be able to get more information about their building contest event thing. Then the DLCs. We knew the DLCs were coming. Those were already advertised as the season pass, which is how Steam bundles them. They're not really a season pass. It's just the four DLCs that they're going to drop. There's the new vehicle, the more contract chains. There's there's goodies, goodies. And then we know in the spring there's Raiders of the Broken Lands. And then the Water Wars. See those links? Hold on. Those links? Yeah, got to be more specific about the links because we got lots of links. Screenshot those so I can move on. Okay. Get your camera out. Screen them. This will also be on the VOD for Twitch. It'll also be uploaded as a podcast on my YouTube. So there we go. Okay. Oh, went too far. So we know that there's more content coming. They've always promised us more content. Now we just have a little more idea of what's coming, just as it comes. We know that Dune Chapter 2, which is the continuation of the story, this is the expansion that comes that is a free stuff. We got the story continuing. So we know where that leaves off. If you've gotten that far, I know not everybody's played that far. Character customization is coming. More contracts, it says in Harco and Arakeen, so do contract boards there, adding more content for us to do. The new hairstyles and tattoos to go with the character customization. We've been begging for more tattoos since early beta. And the archetype armors. Can't wait to see those. Those are going to be really fun. Then the DLC. So the DLC includes the new vehicle. It includes 3 new testing stations. It includes the Lost Harvest, which is a location which will probably be on the Overland map. New base decorations, new building pieces, new armor skins, new weapon skins, new emotes. So the DLC has some nice things in it that I think people will really enjoy, and I'm excited for it. I mean, I don't use a ground vehicle much anymore, but I think for that one I might make an exception. Maybe. They just dropped this one too. If you're into vinyl or collecting vinyl, they are selling records. We're going to get vinyl records. I think those aren't going to be shipped until December, January. And I don't have a record player. I haven't had a record player in a long time, but those look pretty kick-ass. And we got those of us who ordered the thing back when they did the thing have the audio anyway. Everything is freaking expensive outside the UK. Yeah, I didn't even look. I mean, I want one, but I didn't look because I couldn't afford it. So this is the building set that comes with. Okay, it's a Chom set. I don't know if I like it, but I can see why some people would. All right, I can see why people would like that. This is the Dune Man stuff. It looks very like it does look great. It takes a turn on the brutalism thing. And the garage door goes up and down. The garage door goes up and down. And that's pretty kick-ass to have what appears to be a physical moving door going up and down and side to side. So it's got a different vibe to it. And it definitely looks armored. It looks like something that you could build in the deep desert and have a good time with. All right. I like it. This was what they shared for the character customization. She's looking pretty badass. New tattoos, new armor. That looks cool. You gotta admit, that looks pretty cool. I'm not necessarily into the flower tattoo, and her her uniform looks a little bit like something you would see in a marching band, but I will probably get it anyway just because I'm a completionist and I gotta have the stuff. It looks like okay, angry Star Wars. Kind of, sort of, angry Star Wars. But something that people are not talking about. Look at the background of this picture. What do you see? What do you see on that buggy? What do you see on the buggy? They implied that the king said, I'm annoyed with the threads are going backwards. They implied that there was some kind of advantage into going backwards. So we shall see. I was going to say, do you see on the buggy what I see on the buggy? Yeah. Yeah, there's some lighting things from the character creator to live production that I'm hoping that they can fix. Because people were really kind of about things. The tread wheel is not a skin; it's its own vehicle. So I'm kind of pumped about that. Let me see. I would like to show, I have, if I can find it. I wanted to show the trailer for Chapter 2 so we can kind of contextualize all of the cool stuff that we just saw.
The Mithra's in pieces, the cargo's vanished, and no one knows what it really is. Arrakis is full of secrets. Ancient things buried deep. I need your help, stranger. That package is the key to everything. Find it. And don't let anything stand in your way.
It was catching air.
There's been a string of murders across the capital. I don't know who we can trust.
You will work with my investigator and stop this killer before he strikes again.
I gotta say that let me go back to my PowerPoint. I'm super excited. They did say that there was going to be some contract boards popping up inside the treaties and the Arrakis and Harco Village. So there's lots of fun stuff, and I think over time, they're trying to do that balance of trying to squish bugs and cheaters and create the new content at the same time. So I think as time goes forward, then we will be seeing even more great stuff. Not a problem. I totally understand not wanting to be spoiled. This one might be a little bit spoiler heavy, especially towards the end. So I will try to keep that to a dull roar. Let me find my buttons. Aha. Okay. This is, we've talked about Ingrid B before. This is some art that she has shared. She is an environmental artist. She does the backgrounds and things that she shared on Twitter, that one, where she's working on the Jasminium stuff. I think her art is just amazing. There was another artist. This is Kate Kaibar, who's another conceptual artist who did some concept art for the Atreides builds. And I am just in freaking love with these things. They have not said specifically when the next dev stream is, other than soon. I would imagine they're having to wait for Iggy to get back and then dig out all the cables, because he's in charge of the cable mess. That is a freaking cool build, and I am in awe of that. This one was another one that Kate Kaibar did. That just looks so badass, and I'm loving how it's using all of the pieces. It looks very brutalist, and I wish I could build that. I wish I could build that, because that is so freaking awesome. Concept art, and we've had this discussion back before, the concepts. So not everything will actually be in game. They were just kind of given some, do some art. So we know that there aren't anti-air guns or anything like that. And I swear that looks like some of the things that the Mosquerette uses. These are just, again, concept art. They look like turrets, but I don't expect turrets in the game anytime soon. Yeah, they look amazing. The art looks amazing. I love it, but I wouldn't expect to see this particular thing in there. Again, more concept art. I'm just really in awe of the scale. If you look off to the left in this one, there's stuff outside, and there's a person out there on the far left-hand side, really tiny down there. And so that kind of gives you an idea of just how big this building is. And hey, you could put like one large sparse generator in there. That's how big it is. In truth, you could probably put some stuff in there, but yeah, the person on that far side is very, very tiny. And yeah, it looks great. I wish I could build that good. I'm not sure what he's doing out there. I don't know. Again, that anti-human. This one I'm loving, because they've got the one of the the design thingies. The words escape me. The ones I'm giving away today. The murals. It's got a mural on the front. Derp, derp. I know words. Um, but I love how it's got this mix of pieces. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, boxes are good and have their place, definitely. But I love how these are all asymmetrical. There's something in them to give them visual texture to make them interesting. They're not just a box. Like I said, boxes have their place. But I love that they've put the mural on the front of this one. So let's talk about last week's thing. So let me see if I can pull that up. Hold on, screen. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing before I start swapping around. Mural on the wall. Oh, I hate this thing. It hates me with a passion. It doesn't like it when you do stuff. Add a scene with some media. Add a screen. I know. I don't want don't need him coming at me. Where is it? Patch notes. Allow. Okay. There we go. The patch notes. So there was a lot. So I'm not going to go over all of these because it was a lot. And you guys have already kind of looked at these for the most part. But we now have for the builders, the pillars between walls are so nice. And I know a lot of people wanted this. I dropped some of them in our main base and they look good. They look good. I don't know if they do much for stability, but there's an aesthetic to them now that helps give, again, that visual texture. Yeah, they didn't do the Discord mural for very long. I would hope that they'll have more stuff come because the Discord mural kind of slid under the radar for a lot of people. And that one didn't feel very nice for a lot of people. I think one thing that people will like is the replicator now shows where all of the stuff was. I mean, you still need to come up with all of the materials at the other end, but it shows you where everything was. The deposit all for water and blood is so nice. I love the little glug glug sound that you can hear it. I love the glug glug sound. It's just those little quality of life things. It's like watching the death stills and they kind of shrink wrap people. There's just these immersion things that are just so nice that I'm glad that they are thinking about those things and adding those things. Always tweaking stability. Pentashield surfaces can be damaged anywhere, so they aren't the end-all be-all. It's one of the things that happened with the change when they changed how the pentashield boxes can operate. So they wanted to make sure that those were equitable to regular building pieces, so you couldn't get around stuff. Their search for name by thing is still a work in progress. I would not rely on that. It needs some TLC. Just to say that it's needing some TLC. Some changes to how things are playing. Trying to think. This one got me though. This one I was noticing. So there's been some drops in price. So I love how they say adjust on baseline vendor prices. Some items will affect their buy and sell prices. Please note that not all of these items are available for purchase. So you tell us the prices, but then you're telling us we can't actually buy them. But the one that got me was the industrial lubricant is now 40 Solari a piece instead of 700. I'm like, that got my attention because, yeah, the spice residue thing is a thing, and having affordable lube because you go through a lot, but they haven't told us. Again, it says here's the price for it, but it may not be available. That's just mean. Now in beta, we sold a lot of spice residue because at the time it had no purpose, but now we're like, make it something we can actually access, please. Some locations, things have changed. There's been a lot of combat changes and tweaks that I think there's been a lot of feedback on. There's some things that people don't like, do make sure you're putting feedback in a place that is like the Discord or the feedback buttons on the launcher that has a place for feedback, and make it something that they can actually act on, saying, I don't like it because it interacts this way. Just kind of going, wah, is not real helpful feedback. And I wouldn't expect any positive action from that. So just saying, I know one of the things that people have been talking about the stamina regen and stun block. So it feels the same to me. So I don't know, but I know there's been lots of people saying that they've been running into stamina and stun blocks a lot more. People are dodging a lot more. And I'm like, don't get in between two melee guys. They play pinball with me. They're like ping pong. The tweaks for speed for vehicles, again, is trying to tweak out the PvP stuff, I think, and trying to make it a little more equitable. I mean, you're never going to have balanced PvP because that's just not how PvP be. But trying to tweak things and, again, give feedback. I saw somebody, I was watching somebody stream today, and they got up to the Moss crit, and they were trying to use the snub nose to knock down their shields first. And it was one melee guy and one ranged guy, and they killed him because he stood there in front of the ranged guy too long and got poisoned. And yeah, I was like, why are you using a snub nose against them? Just yeah. It wasn't a loadout I would have chosen. And the Moss cred are rough. That poison is rough. And every time they run up and punch me in the face and kick me, it pisses me off. I will not. They run up and they punch me, and I don't like it. That one that comes out from underneath the power plant, she comes flying out of there and just like pow, and she just kicks you out. It's not nice. I get it. I get it. I totally will bravely run away. I will totally pull. I use grenades. I have the Mentat turret, and I use the voice, and so it helps me kind of pick apart crowds. I also use a sword for melee. If I'm in the room, it's going to be melee. If I can be out of the room, I will totally use the spit dart all day, every day. I will. If I don't have to actually engage with them, all the better. I don't care. I will shoot them from so far away that they're just brown blobs. If I don't have to, I'm not going to. I hope. Yeah, I don't do it. One of the things they said was coming for the Landsride was contracts for turn-ins instead of stockpile stuff. So to kind of reduce the stockpiling potential by making them, you don't get the contract until it opens, and then go do the thing. So I'm looking forward to see how they do that, because I'm a fiend. I like the idea of running more contracts. The fetch quest thing is kind of old, and you can only run around and kill so many Masquerade or sandflies before you're just like, this is boring, right? So I'm looking forward to how they make those changes in the system, right? Let's see. Deep Desert layouts will have more places to land and fight over. They have talked about there being more places that will force ground fighting, which would be really great. My personal thing, I think, would be amazing if they could have a map like the Rift, where air combat is really hard to do, that would encourage ground fighting. During the beta, there were a lot of snipers down in there, and they would take your wings right off. And I would think that would be awesome. I think it would be a great type of map to have for a PvP map, to do something in something like the Rift. And it would force people to be on the ground. It would be, the buggy with the rockets, or people on bikes or whatever. And yeah, you do see a lot of buggies and tanks down there. And if you know where to look, there's some very shiny, not so old and burned out tanks down there too. So it makes me wonder what they're cooking, right? More UI stuff. Except most people have gone and read through these things. Some glitches and fix, some climbing animations still need tweaking. It's new audio. My favorite, lowered those engine sounds, because if I'm on Discord with people, I'll have my game turned down a little bit so I can hear them because I don't use headphones. And nothing like getting in a vehicle and just it's just engines, and all you hear is I don't dig that part. So I'm glad the volume for your engines is turned down to normal people's speed. I get why you'd want it a little louder because it's an ornithopter, but for those of us who actually, like I said, I can't wear headphones. They tend to upset my vertigo to have the sound right there. So this is a huge thing for me to have it. And of course, all the technical stuffs, resource and building, the chum extensions. There's just a lot of things that they've tweaked. Do be more mindful when building in the deep desert, especially. They've tweaked where the worm zones are, and the worms are quite a bit more aggressive than they used to be, as they should be. I think. I mean, it's a pain to get used to, but I think as people get used to the change, it will make sense and it won't be quite so painful. I think people will like it once they get used to it. Economy, they're still, as you see people, report them. If you can get close enough to click on them, it'll bring up the wheel, do the report. It will fix. You just got to keep reporting them. And the funny thing is how desperate people are for Solari, that they'll go through this whole process. They'll get banned. They'll buy a new account and come back and do it again. I'm like, just don't buy Solari. It's against terms of service. If you get busted buying the Solari, you get banned too. So it's really not worth it. Play the game. I know someone was saying on their deep desert, there's been a lot of co-op stuff. Like if you go out into, people are saying, hey, let's all, 15 of us go run this lab together. There's easy money to be had out there. You just got to kind of go keep your eyes open for it, but don't buy it. Don't buy it. More combat issues. This was a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through this entire thing. More vehicle changes. If you're the kind of person who likes to read these, they are very, very detailed. There's a lot here. The new player experience, there's tweaks and things. Some of it's bug fixes. Some of it's going to be content changes, adjusted dialogues, things making things sound better or look better. It's all good. It's all fine. But where is my PowerPoint? I lost my PowerPoint. Where's my PowerPoint? This thing is going to be the death of me. Whenever you close a window, then you lose the thing. And I'm like, no, I wanted the thing. I wasn't done with the thing. Let me have the thing back. Oh, because that's a video. I don't want that one back. Were we here? Oh, this thing's going to be. Let me find my buttons. The bane of my existence. I know, the buttons. Once we get through the PowerPoint, we'll do the first giveaway though. So do stick around. Don't give up on me just yet. So we need to change the screen. There you go. Back to my PowerPoint. Allow. And where's the buttons? Back to my PowerPoint. Okay. So we talked about the changes. There is a lot. If something feels weird, it's probably meant to be in there. Do a quick search. But when in doubt, you can and should do bug reports. Let me see. That's a little better. Okay. Buttons. We talked about that. One of the cool things too we talked about was that water button, right? That water button is pretty great. Do know that you can and should be using that refuel generator button. Using that one ensures that your power, especially if you have more than one kind of generator. So like we use like a mix of wind and we've got some the regular small ones when you started. So we've got the small turbines, we've got the big we got all these different things. And if you have them all on and one of them is almost empty, that's how much power you got. When that one empties, the whole thing shuts down. So you definitely want to make sure everything is equal across all of them, and using that button, make sure that they go across the sideways. I think that's not meant to, yeah, the red is kind of alarming. I hope that they fix that, because the people are very upset. I was upset. I was like, mine says paid. Why is it, why is it that way? But yeah, there's kind of the two things with the power. You need to have the power on. So right now we have power usage sitting at 160. That's probably things like your pentashields and stuff like that, right? Turning off things that you don't need will reduce that power usage. But having the shield on, even if you have everything off in your base, won't change how much time you have left on the timer. The timer is your overall power. If you turn on things, turn off things, that doesn't change. You only have so much fuel. They only have 7 days fuel. It doesn't matter if they turn off everything in there. It doesn't turning off everything will not change that 7 days. It absolutely will not change the 7 days. So I would be careful about how much fuel you would be wasting if you're not there. If you're going to be off for a little bit, make sure your minimum's on. Use the cheaper fuel. But I would, just keep an eye on your stuff. There's people coming back saying, I'll only left for a week and my stuff's gone. I'm like, if you have more than one type of generator, you could have had them blitzed around, and that's a problem. So that will hurt. So be careful about that. So this was taken in Arrakis. I took this in Arrakis. That's already in Arrakis. That's right there. So are they teasing us with something? Come on, Joel. Stop holding out. Stop holding out on us. I got to drive the tank in the beta. It was super fun. Super duper fun. I would bet that this is going to be fun. One thing I noticed about the bike actually was catching some air when going over the dunes. I am super excited to have something that feels zippy, like we're dune bashing. But yeah, that's it from behind. But there's another tank right next to it. The tank was not great. It was an awful tank. I mean, it was the fastest ground vehicle, but as a tank, it was kind of crap. And there really isn't a whole lot of use for it. It didn't hit very hard, and it really, in the deep desert, where you gonna drive in the deep desert that slow? You're gonna hit the quicksand. You're not gonna get out of your square. So for what it was not useful at that time. Now more maps are coming. They've told us so. Maybe the tank will come back at that time. But yeah, rockets. Look at that, rockets. Also, the skins. I'm loving the variety of skins that we're seeing in the game. Speaking of tank, that was not in the beta. They're teasing us again. Joel and Jeff teasing us with look at that. It's there. It's just staring at us in a cruel fashion. Shields in the desert. Yeah, see, and you got to be careful. Someone's like, we need shields on Thopters. I'm like, do you remember how when we had that thing, whenever you would get out of your vehicle to go get spice and your shields would turn on? Remember how exciting that was? Do you really want to land your vehicle in the deep desert with a shield on it? Do you really want that? So yeah, something worms. Yeah. You'd want to be very, very careful about how you kit up that sort of thing, because or how to make a worm eat me, pretty much. Okay. Community roundup news. We got new stuff. PAX apparently is quite a busy world of late. They've been doing some stuff. They've got a racetrack. They've got a jump. They've got it looks like a parkour course for their bikes. So they've been having a good time over there. He said that they do stuff weekly. I'm going to guess the worm jump is to go out there and feed yourself. I don't know, but I mean, parkour? I mean, come on. It looks fun. It looks fun. All right. There's so PAX has stuff going on. If you are bored and looking to change into a different world, there they are. Someone was kind of, I guess, surprised at the changes in the deep desert about the volume of ore now, and I'm like, I'm for it. I think it's great. I think it draws more people out into the deep desert. This was off of Reddit the other day, and I agree. So they've increased the size of the PvP zone. A lot of PvPers were mad about it, but this way he was saying that way anybody who crosses that line is going to be PvP ready and probably looking for PvP. So you're going to get better quality PvP instead of just squishing the person who really just wanted to slip in and out. So I can see that this being a potential change could be a good thing if we let it. I don't know. So, letting people get access to Plast makes people a little more willing to try. Right? It gives people a little more try, and I can see, but I think that I went out yesterday and I got just an aluminium Thopters Mark IV. I got some Dura wings on it, so I'm not the fastest thing out there. I've got cargo on it, and you pop into the deep desert. I don't know what this guy was flying. I think he had to have had a Mark VI with boosters because he hopped in and was gone. And I was like, and that's why I don't PvP. And that's the advantage of having those materials. If I am slow or cautious or careful, or I just don't PvP, I would be very nervous about trying to do those things. He would be at a serious advantage. And now there's some potential balance there, right? There's some potential balance there that makes things a little easier, I think. Some art. This is from, hold on, I made my window a little too small. This is from Lone Lion Art. I grabbed this from the official Discord. I think that's pretty amazing. It's called Brothers. And they do have an art thread there that's pretty cool. So if you like to make your own art, I've seen some really great stuff. People have done textiles, they've done drawing and digital and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah. This is me trying to spell it. Every time. And Jasminium. Yeah. It's the cobalt stuff. Erythrocyte, and I will misspell it every single time. Every time. It's been 18 months, and I'm still every time. It is a hard word. It is like a made up word, and it's there's some words I just really struggle to spell, and yeah. Yeah, erythrocyte crystal, and yeah, I thought it was funny. The cobalt stuff, the cobalt ore it just makes it simpler. This is from Mute Paladin 07 from Reddit. I thought they did a really great job. Maybe how it goes, Crystal. I thought this was an amazing build. I think it's crazy how I'm over here trying to get my box to look good, and this guy's over here making mecha. Just that's huge, and it looks so freaking good. I'm just like, me and my box. They used those observer windows, and at night they get a little glow to them. That would look so awesome at night. But I'm glad they took the picture in the daytime because Harkonnen pieces are really hard to see at night. So that looks quite good. This was a scenic shot from Decca in the official Discord. Again, we all stopped for that same picture because you can't not. It's got the worm going up. Hello. It's got the moon. It's got the spice blow. We all stopped for that same picture. All right. This one is from Fortress. This is Vader's Fortress from Haltron on Reddit. So the fortress on Mustafar. I found it interesting they did it in the Atreides pieces, but it kind of fits because it's got the more brutal, straight lines. So I thought it was really cool. And it's got the highlighter in the back. Very scenic. Very, very scenic. Gemma from the official Discord has been doing some cute. Look at that Shiloh. Just look at it, so cute. Little Muad'Dib riding a Shiloh. So it's just doll. And then she did another one. It's also from Gemma from the official Discord. That is adorable. Vroom vroom. I mean, Muad'Dib riding a bike. How can you not? Just so cute. I love how it's got the little number 6 item from Prestoy. Yeah, but no eating the cutesy ones. Prestoy monster. This is some people working together because that is a lot of transports. That's a lot of expensive. This is from Mr. Smooth on the official Discord. You can just see where they've been going around the outside and just hover. That is a very coordinated group getting their spice. So when I was in the deep desert yesterday, there was people saying, "Hey, there's still some over here at wherever, come get it." So I think people are settling down a little bit. There's still going to be people who are looking for PvP, and that's okay. But I think for the most part, things are kind of getting into an even groove, and people are knowing who their neighbors are and that sort of thing. It's good. I think it's good. This is from Hex and Cats on the official Discord, and it's titled, "What does it feel like when someone's watching?" So, yeah, I'm here to talk to you about your extended warranty. Yeah, that would be scary. And that was a good screen capture. That was a good catch. But yeah, don't go outside the door. Knock, knock. Land shark. that's from Jambit in the official Discord. Give us an interesting screenshot. I thought that one turned out really good. Can I get my ball back? Yeah. I just am amazed at the creative things that people are doing with these build pieces. I just think that's just wow. Yep. This one is from Left-Handed Righty on Reddit. I thought it looked really cool. You've got the big garage. You've got some trees on top. Very scenic up against the Sentinel. And using the observer pieces. I think very creative. This one was posted by M Perez 4855 on Reddit. That is a massive build. I love the eagles. That's a lot of plastone. There's a lot of plastone. That is a lot of basalt and a lot of water. And silicon. Now that's much harder to get. That change is going to be a bit to get used to. They did the stairs. I mean, it was such a creative use with wedges. Wedges are tough. You got to really plan out when you're going to use wedges. You can't just go halfway through the build and go, I want to try a wedge here. That never ends well. Excuse me. That scenic shot again. This is Mr. Washi via Reddit, and he titled it "The Fremen Are Out There." So I thought that one was pretty great. I love how scenic this game is. It is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This one is from Paco Fluis, from the official Discord, and that is the back end of a Death Star on Jakku. So I thought that was pretty creative. That's a lot of crazy pieces there. There are just so many great builders in this game that it can be hard sometimes when I'm going through them, like, because they post like 5 or 6 pictures or 7 or 8 pictures. They post a lot of pictures of this great build, and I'm like, I want them all, but people aren't going to stick around forever and a day to do it. We are at slide 46 out of 51. So as soon as this is done, we'll do our first giveaway. I haven't forgotten. This was from Ringo on the official Discord. This was a racetrack that they did out at the edge of the deep desert. And that's how many sub 5 extenders is that? That's a few. But yeah, I'm loving all the tracks that people are doing. I think that, again, it's just super creative, and yeah, I think it's great. And I wish we could. Sometimes people do post videos, but if they don't put it in a format that I can grab, then I can't share them, which is kind of sad, because I think it'd be pretty awesome to share some of these tracks. But they have people running around in circles. It's great. And then let's see. This is from Rylazu. This was a custom blade that he did. That I don't know if he had it commissioned or if he made, but it looks pretty damn awesome. And steel. That is pretty sick. You gotta admit, that looks pretty cool. Grab that from the official Discord. I think some of your old timers might remember how he was around for a bit, but I think some of us don't go so much in the official Discord anymore. It's a different place. And we don't go in there so much anymore. This is a building that Storm did. He works for Funcom, and this was posted in the official Discord. I believe he posted this press story. Was this one that he posted in regards to the build event that you guys are doing over on the wiki server? I think this is what he had said that he was doing. I love the decorations. We need more. We need more. This was from Valerie in the official Discord. This was her decorating inside her dining hall, I think. Looks great. Love it. Nice use of color. I love the rug options. We need more. Rug options, but I think this is one of the great things about the DLCs and the drops and all of the things that they will do for us. I believe in my dark little heart is that more of these things will come, and yeah, it's definitely worth. I think it's worth having those things. I think people kind of mock dollhouses a little bit. I'm like, no, we're playing, and this person also has the Harkonnen stuff in the background. Hello. It's all good, right? And then this is from Vic in the official Discord. They did some characters. So I thought those were totally very cute. It's super cutesy. And let's see. That is the end of the PowerPoint. That means I need to set up for the draw. The first one. Keeping in mind, I haven't done a draw since we gave away those keys for the what's it? The other thing. Yeah. I hope that they do as well. I hope that they set some stuff up. My buttons are closed in weird ways, and I'm having trouble finding stuff. Give me one moment. Okay. Very, very exciting. Duke So here in a moment, we're going to do the giveaway. Fingers crossed, I haven't done one in a while. What's ideally is going to happen in my magic world where everything is working properly, I know Prestway is already mocking my button use, is I'm going to hit the button on my side. Then you guys are going to hit ! raffle and it'll enter you. We're going to let that run for a moment. I have the two that I'm going to give away. I'm going to give away one now and then one in a little bit. And then I do plan on talking for a little bit about some lore I have queued up to talk about the first spy stream. I have the first trial. And if we get to it, the second trial. Yes, this is for the new mural that they've given out. So I have two. So let me start the button. Okay, don't get too excited. And hopefully this will work properly. So this is the mural that they're giving away. Hopefully we'll get some more soon. Okay, the giveaway is started. Hold on. And let me, it had a thing before where I could see the people who had entered. Yay, there it goes. Okay. So I'm going to let it run for a moment. And then again, there's no requirement for subs or anything like that. I would feel bad. I would feel bad if people did that. That would bother me. I am so sorry, Kat. I didn't see your raid. I'm sorry. I had it closed. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that. I had all that minimized. I'm not very coordinated, as my regulars will tell you. I'm not coordinated at all. But thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in. You guys are very, very welcome. I'm excited for the mural. This is exciting times. Okay, so the giveaway says it's started. I'm looking for where it's queuing everybody up. Aha, there it is. Okay, come on, we got 3 minutes. We like it when people come and stop in and chat. We're chatty people. We're chatty people. For the winners, so I'm going to tell you now so I don't forget, because y'all have noticed I'm not very coordinated. The winners, if you can ping me on Discord, again, !Discord, will show you my channel. Again, you don't have to stick around or anything like that. No requirements of that. You don't have to engage with us. We aren't that way, but that will be the best way to reach me. And then I will give you the key code at that time so that I can make sure I type it out correctly, because it's got like, is it an 1? Is it an L? Is it an O? Is it a 0? So, oh, thank you. I love this is my small bookshelf. This is my small bookshelf. Someone, or the words, I like your bookshelf. Now we're going to detour while I'm watching this timer. We got 2 minutes left in my bookshelf. Got all my Dune books. And then above that, I've got my RPG books. There's Expanse and my Dune RPG books. I know the kinks like, oh no. Star Wars books. And then Black Lagoon. There's some Warhammer books. There's some random books that is manga, graphic novel thing of a series called Monstrous. And then at the bottom, there is all of the Expanse books. And then below that are the Firefly books. Yep, I know. This is like my small bookshelf. We got a minute, 50 seconds left. Come on. I know you guys want these. They are really, it's a beautiful mural. And if I had half a brain, I would have had it set up as a graphic to show everybody. But I'm stupid. But again, my regulars knew this. It's all good. I know in my living room, I've got a whole bunch of Star Wars graphic novels. There's the comic books. I have a bunch of nonfiction books. I've got like Jim Butcher. I've got some Neil Gaiman left. I got a little bit of this, that, and everything. So those in my Discord, every now and then I'm like, look, my bookshelf. So it's all good. It's all good. So we'll call it disorganized. We'll call it disorganized. I'm going to say it's a long-term consequence of having vertigo. It causes brain fog, and I'm just like, what day is it? I don't even know. So, shameless plug. When it's one thing we talk about a lot in my Discord. It's just we talk about books, we talk about nerd stuff. You know, we've it's been so I was talking about WoW today. There was Fallout, especially with the season 2 coming up of the show. We got 13 seconds left. 13 seconds. And there's we talk a lot about food. Cooking stream is coming soon. Okay, so now to pick the winner. I'm going to push the button. Season 1 for Fallout was great. So the first winner is you know who you are. A button. I know. So the winner is announced. Come to my Discord or ping me on Discord. I'm not hard to find. And post when I wrap up this evening, I will give you your code. Yay! So we'll do the second one in a few minutes. Exciting times. I would this is the part where now I'm saying we're going to talk a bit about the lore. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the trials and you don't want to be spoiled on the story, this would probably be the time to plug your ears or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to try not to spoil the story because if you've run everything, you know. But there's lots of people who haven't, and so I'm going to do my best to make it interesting without spoiling too much. Well, there's the spoilers from the books, and then there's the spoilers for the game, and so there's people who haven't read the books, even Kataiba. Yes, I wrote down. I had all the names. I had all that stuff written down about what those are. So, yeah, the game is its own thing, and so we don't want to spoil the story for people who want to experience for themselves. I got a very interesting DM from someone the other day, like, this is how it ends. I'm like, so the trials of Aquil are only mentioned one time in the book in a very narrow way. It was essentially young Fremen have to go do a thing to prove themselves, and Joel and his team kind of took that to do these trials. So there's more detail in them. So on that note, we got stuff. And I have, hold on. We're going to do our best not to spoil things, but we're going to do our best not to spoil things. We're going to do our best to keep it interesting, but without ruining things for ahead of time. There will be things we come back to as we progress through talking about Act 1 and Act 2. So Act 1 is the 7 trials and the bit after that, and then Act 2 starts after. So again, trying not to, there'd be a whole lot of me going, So it is time. So the first spy stream is where we're going to start. I love that creepy voices. I don't know about the volume. You might have to adjust your volume at this point, so do be aware of it.
Observe this valley, sacred to the Equan bedroom. Here, Wally faced the trials of Baku,
proving their knowledge of the Fremen race. Find the Fremen, she said. Seven tests, 7 steps. Set your feet. Follow the uncertain path. Keep moving. The only true death is stagnation.
So, yeah, there's a hold on, a lot going on there, and do you understand, Wally? So this is the first time you're really gonna get high on spice, right? This is our first big experience with it, and we know from, if you've watched the movie with the more recent one, Paul gets out there and he gets high on accident when they're trying to save everybody from the crawler, and starts tripping. He gets so out of it that he's unaware of the danger that he's in. He's someplace else, and then you catch him later saying, I know your footsteps, old man. So this is our introduction to the spice. This is our introduction to what spice can do. Giant Muad'Dib and giant worms and piles of bodies and all of those things that the first couple of times were kind of trippy to watch. You're just like, okay, Joel, you guys are it's a thing. We know from the reason that it was interesting to Stilgar when Paul took the name Muad'Dib, because he said it's a guide, right? Because it's a moon. They use it. They named the moon after the thing, and they use it as a marker. It's a guide. So the Muad'Dib as a guide makes sense for us as Fremen, because the spice dream is assuming that we're Fremen. The 7 steps, they talk about it, is you got to go places. Right, this is something that happens a lot. You got to go places, and yeah, so many bodies. But did you notice that some of them were rising from the dead to go fight? And then in the piles of bodies, let me see if I can bring it back up. Hold on, this was it. Now we're gonna yeah. So yeah, the bowl full of drugs. I find it interesting. I mean, you just watch the pupils go, because you are high as fuck on that one. So I'm gonna turn down the volume a little bit so we can talk. Muad'Dib in the sky, right? But it's meant. The idea is to become an adult. You have to know certain things. There was an expectation of things.
Serve this valley, sacred to the Ikhwan Bedouin.
But you see them getting up out of the sand. They're getting up to go fight. And we know from the movies and the books that the Fremen were not a united people. And I think they had kind of a temper. And when we saw Jameis get his feelings hurt, and he was like, okay, duel to the death. And so, they're an aggressive people, but the idea is that they're there to prepare themselves for Kralazak. Only the strong will survive that. So everything was always a trial. Everything was, it's a hard planet. It's a hard world for them to live in. So everything was meant to be to kind of hone them and make them stronger. There was no room for weakness. If you couldn't keep up, they just left you in the desert. The Typhoon struggled. They would leave you behind and not look twice because you're not strong enough.
Trials of Akhl, proving their knowledge of the Fremen race.
So we're in the same armor in the same still suits as Zentera. I admit, I was looking at the piles of bodies here. Those aren't Fremen bodies in the background. There's people in armor in the background. And we know that would not be Fremen. That's Harkonnen, that's Sardaukar, that's mercenaries, that's everybody that was sent to fight and eradicate the Fremen are in those piles. And then I'm going to set them on fire to deny the tribe the water. It's like an extra insult. You can't even come back and you lose that water, and every bit of water lost is significant to the Fremen. They can't just make water appear out of nowhere. They can't just import more. So burning all of that was like this extra injury on top for any survivors. So we were seeing a bit of the purge in this spice dream. But this conflict.
Seven steps. Set your feet. Follow
And of course the Bene Gesserit, bathed in blood.
true death. Stagnation.
I find it very philosophical for them to say the only true death is stagnation. I mean, that's true for everything. And I think one of the things that, again, they're talking about that honing, the carrying forward the Fremen ideals, keeping those things alive kept a people alive. To stagnate, to stop following your traditions, to stop evolving, and this is something we've talked about before, when this culture, the whole Imperium, hasn't evolved in 10,000 years. They got rid of the AI, and they said, well, we're going to do better with mentats. I'm like, but you guys really haven't. You haven't evolved. You're still a feudal society 10,000 years later. You're still just as trapped as you were before. There's nothing. You're stagnating. And we know from the books and things, that was the kind of the point behind the Kwisatz Haderach was supposed to lead them and prevent all this stuff and blah, 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 the books, right? So the idea that stagnation was bad, and so is it the Fremen are stagnating? Is it you are stagnating? Is it the Imperium is stagnant? All of those things are stagnant, and you've got to keep moving forward. Set your foot on the uncertain path. It's okay to not know where you're going, but you got to keep moving. You cannot stop. Stagnation is death. I think that this is actually, I mean, the writers for this game, it's not an RPG, but man, everything comes back in this way that after you've run it a couple of times, you just want to reach to the screen and shake Joel like, because everything comes back. There's not, there's nothing wasted, and it's what makes me always a little sad when people don't do the story, because I'm like, you're missing out on so much. You could skip it, but I mean, because people I didn't run the trials because they were boring. I'm like, you missed it. So that is our first bit of prescience, right? And so let's go ahead before we jump into the first trial. I don't know, most everybody's seen it, but before we do that, let's go ahead and do the raffle again. I'm going to try and hit this button. Remember, it's exclamation point. Okay, I gotta address this because this one bugs me. Some people skip the story because they want to get to end game, but then they get bored. They go, "Well, I'm out of here." Well, good for you. You missed, 100 hours of content because you ran, and then you're complaining you're bored. I'm like, I can't help you if you're missing all the lore and you're missing the point of Dune. It's not just a survival game; it's also a Dune survival game. So yeah, okay. We're going to resume entries. It's exclamation point raffle. I'm not wiping the other one. So if you are just now here or you didn't enter before, this is your chance. Here we go. Pushing the button. There we go. Exclamation point raffle. Good luck, everybody. But I saw it a lot in Conan. Conan's got a very short story, right? It's got a very short story, but people, and it's not blatant. It's not laid out like an RPG. There's nobody standing there with a exclamation point over their head. It's the pieces of the story you have to go look for. You have to go look for the ghosts. You have to look for the notes. You have to follow the stones. You have to go looking for it. It's very subtle. And people would start the game. They would run up to the mountains. They would grab the most badass thralls, and then forgetting that the map is tiered, and then just skip all the good stuff, and then complaining that they're running the dungeons. I'm like, that dungeon you're doing was meant for someone at level 16, not level 60. Yeah, you're going to be bored. You missed it when you should have done it, and now it's not the same thing. Hey, the motorcycle. So they're missing these things, and it's very subtle. And this is a little, I don't want to say blatant, but it's a little more easy to find. The story, it is working. If you entered before, I didn't wipe it. So if you entered before, you're still entered. No panicky. I'm going to give it a moment more, and then we will do the draw, and then we will talk about the first trial. Yeah, I went ahead and left those in case people, that way I wouldn't miss anybody. Are we ready? I think everybody's had a chance to, that's not, it's hard. We're already 90 minutes into this. People don't want to do this much more with me. I'm going to give you a few more seconds. You guys got this. Yay. I'm peeking at the thing. Okay. I am clicking close entries. Yay, we can no longer enter. Okay, I think you got it in. Woo. And now we're going to pick a winner. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Press joy. You know where to find me to get your thing. I'm hoping they give us more stuff. I'm hoping. I know, I'm sorry. This is very true. People buying the latest, newest, hottest game, and then I see there was somebody on Reddit today. They saw the boiling sand. They're like, "What is this? Why is it boiling?" And it's like, and a bunch of people are like, "Oh, totally! It boils faster and it gives you more spice if you go stand in the middle of it." Because people are coming, and that's okay. There's a variety of ways to play. There's a variety of people who can play the game. Some people are here for Dune, some people are for survival games, and that's okay. I'm not trying to sound judgmental, but the gap between people who know Dune and don't know Dune is pretty wide. And so I think they did a little more. I think they did more with the story for this one. I think because they could too, and they've got such a rich story to pull from. So there's a lot here. There's a lot here. Yeah, thankfully, some people told him not to actually go do that. Back in the beta, it used to be a lot more aggressive. It could, if you flew too close before it went off, it could take your thopter out. It was, and it did. Yeah, you don't go out there when it's boiling. It doesn't boom like it used to, but it'll still boom. Yeah, it'll still boom. Yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can get the next video up. Let me do first trial. So we're going to try and focus on what's in the trial to start, and then try not to. Again, I don't want to spoil things, but there's a lot here. There's a lot here. Media. We're going to do a video, and we're going to look at trial 1. Whoa, no, wrong button. Stop it. There, we'll leave it like that. The creakly All the sound effects in this game are I know, buttons. You'll see giant purple people, you'll see space whales, you'll see flaming giraffes. The giraffes are a nice touch.
Who is it that thinks? Ibn Kiltaiba. The weight of a kindly god is a fearful thing. Do you understand why? Our god gave us the burning eyes of Allat and the words of the Kitab al-Ibar. Rest in luxury. Be kind. When we began our wandering, we suffered until suffering was a thing we came to know within our souls. Arrakis is suffering. When we found it, we were whole. We were made to suffer. Our children taken, made slaves. They denied us the Hajj. Never to forgive. Never to forget.
Three and Grey, it is very much things you need to know. These are things a Fremen would know.
The weight of a kindly god is a fearful thing. Did not God give us the burning sun to defy? Suffering leads to defiance. And where does defiance lead?
I love the trials too.
Even in Taiba, defiance leads to thought. Who is it that thinks? Those who suffer. Remember harm. Be like
It is a very trippy way to explain things. Okay.
Ibn Qutayba, defiance leads to thought. Who is it that thinks? Those who suffer. Remember harm. Be like
So for those of us who haven't run it in a bit, because we're not in beta anymore, we don't have to run it every other week anymore. um, so the first trial gives us access to our first still suits, right? And which is an important thing that a Fremen teenager would know. And so in the trial, we meet Satis, which isn't her name, that's her title. Satis is like a holy judge. So she's there to teach us and to judge us for what do we know if we were Fremen, right? To make sure that we are paying attention to our lessons. These are life-saving lessons, right? And I do love, and I agree that this is a great extended tutorial. They did such a good job with the tutorial in this game being something that doesn't feel like it's beating you up with, go stand over here and do this tutorial stuff. Everything, and we've talked about this before with the labs, the iron rich things, or use the wind traps, or everything is telling you something if you listen. I mean, you might already be ahead of that, so you may not clock to you that it was telling you something, but this is telling us stuff that we need to know. And stay in black shade. Every time you get in the sun in this thing, it roasts you. Your water lasts longer, and sunstroke is still a thing even at end game. You want to stay in black shade. You want to duck. You hide behind rocks. Your water lasts longer. Your health doesn't go down. It's slow, but it's there, and they've tweaked it several times over the beta, so it could tweak again. Even Kataiba, thus go the holy words. They came to Arrakis. They knew suffering because they've been in many places. They knew suffering. They had suffered and had struggled throughout their wanderings, right? The Zinsuni wanderers. And they ended up in a lot of bad places. But they said, the burning eye, did God not give us the burning eyes of Alat? In some texts, Alat is another word for Saul, which would be our sun. They did not give us the sun to defy. So the idea here that we're looking at are staying out of the sun. We want to not get roasted. This is a reminder as Fremen, stay in black shade. The words of the Ibn Kataiba. So essentially it's not their Bibles per se, but it's their words of wisdom. This is the book of how to survive Arrakis. Stay in black shade, right? And of course, Bila Kaifa is kind of like Amen, or there really there's nothing else to say. At one point, I got told, look left and right. Exactly. The worm could come from any direction. It could come from the left, it could come from right, it could come from behind, it could come from over you sometimes. So you never know. I mean, when you get ready to cross the gap the first time, Zantara tells you to look both ways. That's definitely a thing. On Harmatep, we were made to suffer. The children were enslaved, and we were denied the Hajj. So for the Zinsuni wanderers, as in a descendant from Sunni Islam, because they split off with the Orange Bible stuff. So they've been wandering a long time. Go on a Hajj. They feel to them a pilgrimage is a huge part of how they learn and keep their culture alive. And for them to be denied that is to take away their culture. They suffer in their souls. We saw in the movie when Shawnee went to take the blood from that one Harkonnen soldier. It was a boy. It was a kid her age, and he wasn't even dead yet. And she's like, and just stabs him and takes his blood. She's cold. She's hard, because to be prepared for Kralazak, you got to be hard. A kindly God, a God that loves them, is going to make them hard to survive the typhoon, the end of the universe. Kind of like their, I knew it. What's the end of the world for Norse people, right? They have something similar, right? And the idea that they have to be hard to survive this. They have to be hard to survive this. I am going to yeah, these aren't children. Ragnarok, right? They're end of the world, right? We have to survive the end of the world. And when they were on Rosek, which is one of the planets that they bounced around to, the Saidina on Rosek had started a breeding program at that time to start preparing people to be able to survive the typhoon, to survive Kralazak, the big end of the world. So they've been thinking about this for a long time, and they believe that their hard God, in his loving ways, makes a hard life for them so that they will be better able to survive that. And they are always constantly pushing and evolving themselves to be harder to survive. So for them, there is no stagnation as because they remember where they came from, but they're constantly pushing themselves to be hard, to be able to survive. And that takes, they have to have that edge to survive. That's why when they got to Arrakis, they were like, this is good. This works for us. We'll be good and hard here because there is no soft place on Arrakis. It's all about how hard it is. I wanted to show there was one other part here. I think let's go back. So we see Satis. That's the teacher, right? We're gonna skip ahead. Bowl full of drugs. You know me so well. What I find interesting about this, though, is when you come back out of it, and Zentara's like, "I lost you for a minute," and it implies there's like your signal disappeared. It implies that you went someplace else, and the idea that you're also running the same trial, the same thing that generations before you have run, you've been pulled into this ancestral memory, right? That was something else that we'll talk about later. But there's this idea that we hold on to where we came from so we can move forward. Kind of, it sounds like every origins, it kind of is. And remember, their current iteration has been so influenced by the Bene Gesserit, and again, it's mentioned in the movie. Shawnee's like, we've been told this lie that only an off-worlder in this specific circumstance can come save us. So nobody has been able to save them because the believers like Stilgar would have cut them down. You probably had many capable believers over the last 10,000 years, or even the last 80 years, when the Harkonnens came and their regime was extra hard. But the believers that have been, this culture has been twisted and conditioned by the Saiyadina and the Bene Gesserit for a long time. The believers were never going to allow that to happen. So Shawnee had pointed out that religion, the young people are like, we got it. This isn't working. We're not in a good place. We got to change. So, and that was something else that I think Herbert wanted to talk about, was the dangers of the fanatics in the religion. That's why Stilgar he wasn't comedic relief. That man is the most terrifying character around. Not because he was more dangerous in a fight than Gurney or Duncan Idaho or anything like that, but his fanaticism was dangerous. And we saw how that goes. We watched the movies. He's going to lead them to paradise, and there is not a force in the universe going to stop that wave because of their fanatic belief. Lead them to paradise. Either way, they win. And it made them very, very dangerous. The kindly God made them hard. It made them weapons. It made them tough enough to survive the end of the universe, the end of the world in Kralazak. One of the things I also noticed is you're in the first still suit. You're not in the still suit that you first make, which is kind of a ragtag looking thing, but you're in the first better still suit. In these dreams, you would be in the still suit that a Fremen would actually have been in as you are running around, because they would have had that. You know, we're dying in the sun before we get into the trial. But with this still suit, you would have done better. And it's just a reminder.
That thinks Ibn Kirtaiba.
I thought it was a nice little detail. That's why we keep, we're like, people are like, where's my stuff? And it's like, but you aren't you per se. You're in this communal memory. I think you're learning to be a Fremen. The trials assume you're a Fremen.
Our God gave us the burning eyes of Allat and the words of the Kitab al-Ibar. Rest in peace.
So for people who didn't watch the movies or who haven't read the books or any of that stuff, the eyes were a painful lesson at the start, and the idea that this kindly God is preparing them. The trial is harder than going outside for real. The trial, I mean, you only got a few seconds before you're toast, and it reinforces the idea that you really have to be careful. You can hear the sizzle. That's... You can also hear the worm moving in the background. But it also tells you, crouch underneath stuff. Yeah, if you haven't watched the most recent movies, I know some people were like, it's boring. I'm like, he took a different approach to, and he focused in on a very particular theme. And so there was some, but that would have been with the Herbert Estates permission. Like all of this is with the Herbert Estates permission as well as Legendary. Because any this is their story, it's their IP. But yeah, you start toasting up pretty fast if you don't get out of the sun.
On Harmontep, we were made to suffer. Our children taken, made slaves.
I think it's one of the reasons that by the time they got to Arrakis, this is my run through. They were so exhausted from being made slaves, and here come the Harkonnen and their slaves. And we know from lore that there's not really a prohibition against slavery per se. There's some cultural pushback, but remember, it's very feudal. So slavery is tolerated by a lot of people. I mean, the Harkonnens use them a lot, free labor, cheap labor. That was where we were meant to be. Is we were supposed to be arriving on that ship to be slave labor to help rebuild Carthage, and we would have been taken to Harko village and all of that stuff. And the Atreides aren't openly as into slaves, and if the Atreides have slaves, they're much better treated than what the Harkonnens do. The Harkonnens treat them, pretty disposable. There was a moment in the beta they removed where they talk a bit about your life expectancy would have been days because they're just chewing through slave labor so fast. I don't know if there was a contact in the Atreides bar that used to talk about the differences why she thought the Harkonnens were going to do better, and part of that's economic. If you have to pay your employees, then that's going to be a different thing than getting your employees for free or not having to pay them or really do anything other than basic minimal life support for them. So that's going to impact how the different houses, economies, and budgets and things will go. Who's got the money and where is it going? But the idea that they were made slaves, their children were taken away, that would have been very much like what they would have seen with the Harkonnens, where people would be enslaved or just, they're seeing those people. Yeah, well, if you're covered from head to toe 99% of the time, you're probably not going to get too much exposure. I mean, we're going to have raccoon eye sunburn, but that's one of the things I was saying before about the old gimp suit still suit. It has a vibe to the look, but lore wise, it actually fit because you're covered. Uh, it would keep the sun off of every inch of you, and would have reclaimed all of the sweat as well as protected you from the blistering sun. But ideally, you're not moving around at the heat of the day. You don't spend too much time out in the sun. I mean, every now and then I'll go out, like I'll start climbing the Sentinel, and then I realize, oh, I went too early in the day. And then you're out there hanging off the side and trying to find some rock to duck behind because you're going to just watch your health going in all your water. So yeah, I love that still suit. I one of my guildies made me one, and then I got run into some bugs that was making me respawn way too many times, and all my health does it now. I do most of my outdoor stuff by night now. The drawback is that you have to watch out for the overhead things depending on where you go. Like I was trying to finish some stuff in Jebel Lafitte, and I'm like, the the mercenaries, and they grab your car now to your vehicle if you're caught. So something to be aware of. Yeah, they mean business. I have my gamma adjusted. I can fly around everything fine by night. The only time I have to use my headlight really is if I go down into the rift, and I always have my personal light with me for places because some of those caves get dark, even in the daytime. So I do keep those things handy. The personal light that hangs on your belt is a must have. Is absolutely a must have.
They denied us the Hajj. Never to forgive, never to forget.
So again, that Hajj, their pilgrimage, is part of their culture, is part of their religion. To never forgive them for the lack of that. Never forgive them for treating us that way, even though they've left. I don't even know how long ago they were at that planet. I don't even know. But we will hold on to that as our cultural memory. And as part of your steps to get into heaven, you have to know those things too. Because the trials of Aquil are the 7 steps that you need to know, the things, the skills, not just about the history, but Stand Black Shade, the Thumper, the Compactor, all of those things that you get. You've got to know what those are and how to use them and how those connect to your culture if you were a Fremen young person moving into adulthood. You had to pass this to get into adulthood. And if you couldn't pass it, well, you're just going to get left in the desert, because you're useless and you're just going to hold them back. They've got to keep moving. They've got to keep pushing that edge to be the strongest as possible because they've got to survive Kralizak. They've got to survive the Harkonnen. They've survived this planet and that horrible planet over there. And they're going to survive this one too because they are a hard people because their kindly God has made them hard. This one I always hate. This one's the one that gets me every time because there's like a 2-beam thing that comes by and I hate it. Just gotta, and then it gets you on the other side. I was so worried about jumping puzzles in this game. I'm like, I don't do jumping puzzles. I suck at jumping puzzles. Well, you're getting singed.
The weight of a kindly God is a fearful thing. Did not God give us the burning sun to defy? Suffering leads to defiance. And where does defiance lead?
If we are suffering, you have the choice. You either fold up or you defy the suffering. So they took the way that we will stand up and be defiant. They will be defiant against everything. because that's what their God wants them to do. They won't just sit down and take the suffering. The suffering they internalize and think, okay, I've learned how to do the thing, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to make it, and they will not crush me that way. Yeah, my video showed you how to do a thing in the intended way. I'm kind of afraid to ask. What did my video show you how to do? It was a whole lot of things. I love that we start with even Kataiba, which means to be a frank, is a reference. Yes. The Fremen were manipulated from the very origins of their religion to be isolationist and yet influenced by borrowed philosophy. For all of his faults, Frank Herbert had a way of writing this way that was very deep and profound and intertwined, that showed a lot of stuff. And the things that are problems in cultures, whether it be fanaticism or isolationism, or, I mean, Stilgar is a fanatic, but so is Gurney. He's no less a fanatic. He just has a more narrow focus for who he specifically wants to take out. And but he's no less dangerous. He's no less a fanatic. All the Atreides, Awu, they're just as fanatic. So the idea, beware the fanatic, in this culture of stagnation creates this fanaticism where people try to create meaning for themselves, but everything is so compressed. It's really hard to break out of that. 10,000 years of feudalism, that'd be hell. The last books were really weird. I read all the books when I was 16. I'm still traumatized. I'm still traumatized. This one was always tricky for me because during the beta, at one point there was a bug that, like, the left half of this room, if you moved too far to the left, you just fell through the floor. And so you had to be very, very particular about where you walked. Otherwise, you're going to end up redoing it, which was not fun. But you are right up close to the sun in that one. Run! And you get singed almost immediately.
Defiance leads to thought. Who is it that thinks? Those who suffer. Remember how
When you're suffering, you have to think about how are you going to process and take this into something that will make us better, make us harder, make us more likely to survive. It's an evolutionary thing. There's this pressure on them to continue to evolve into something that will survive. And we'll talk later about how some of those things changed who they are through their wanderings. But yeah, the idea that we've suffered, what will you do with it? Will you fold up, or will you evolve? Will you become defiant? And that's your first lesson. We're going to defy the sun. We're going to put on our still suits, and we're going to be defiant against people who would enslave us. And so there's the practicality thing of where your still suits stay in black shade, but there's also this idea behind the Fremen of who they are and why they are the way they are. Am I starting a new character? Not anytime soon. I had to go back, and I had to do it a couple of times to get these trials, because when I went through and to video and I had audio issues, or like I had disconnection issues, and I had to start it over so many times. I hope I don't have to start them over again. I have the Act 1. I have all of Act 1. And Act 2, I need to go back and look at the video and make sure it's all good. But I think, yeah, I would make a terrible Fremen too. But this is why, Shawnee's face when she's draining the blood out of that guy that's still alive. And, there's this look of, when she's just kind of disgusted with the whole process. Not that she feels pity. She's just like, we had to do this thing and I didn't want to do it. But she's doing it, and she's, slaps the guy's hand away. All the lessons end with Bila Kaifa. And amen. This is the end of the conversation. And I think we're starting with the trials, because we're going to start with talking about Act 1 is the trials. And then once we've finished Act 1, then we'll be able to dip into the next ones. The idea about the trials as an introduction to Fremen culture, why Zentera is the way he is, why the Fremen are hiding, who the Fremen were, how they function as a society, where we would fit into that. All of those things are kind of dealt with in the trials, as well as getting stuff like a still tent and the thumper and all those things that teaches us those things. But the idea is you are the 7 steps, the 7 things you need to know to get into heaven, to become Fremen. You've got to know these things. So there's this, it's a practical thing as well as a religious thing for them. I think it's pretty badass myself. I do have the second trial queued up. However, we're sitting at the 2-hour mark, so it's a good time to wrap. But that means we'll have something to talk about next time. Bila Kaifa, right? Bila Kaifa is kind of like an amen kind of thing, or that's the end of that lesson. It's the end of that thought. So yeah. I think something that I don't know if Herbert touches on a lot. This has been 10,000 years. Stuff has been lost. And after a bit, some things they just have so wrote into their culture, they wouldn't know the answer if you asked them. To be honest, there's probably things they don't know, like how you left a place or how you got a place. There are some connections to Arabic and a Broadway, but also remember I said that for his time, Herbert was kind of had an idea, but it was also some very much Herbert was in a time that had some ideas. So yeah, kind of take those things as a balance. Yeah, we did the codes already. I do apologize. I'm hoping they will give us some more, and then we'll totally do some giveaways. That would be awesome. Everybody should, because we hit the 2-hour mark. If you started early with me, then you should hopefully have your drops, which are always nice. If not, the drops will be going until September 4th, which is a week and 10 days or something like that. I'm trying to think. If you're a collector of stuff, the album is coming. I think they're not going to drop the album in the mail until like December, January, because I think they're doing pre-sales first before they actually stamp the albums, which makes sense. If you're doing the 10-day free run, do look at their comments and understand that it's not like the open non-NDA weekend that we had. There's some things you need to remember about your sub fifes, even if you've bought the game. So if you've bought the game and drop sub fifes, it's going to impact your available sub fifes or stuff. So to keep an eye on their notifications about how the free stuff is going. If you have not bought the game, I have a code for, what was it? It's ! Dune purchase. You can purchase the game through me. And it doesn't cost any extra to do so. It just gives me a little for doing the free advertising for them. And there it is. Thank you. For those of you who won the stuff, drop me a line. I know where to find Prestoy, and I will get you your codes, and then you too can enjoy the amazing, spiffy new mural that they've given us, which would be really exciting. On that note, I am going to wrap it up. My Discord is a great place for everybody to meet. Again, we're low pressure. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Some people don't even play Dune, so um, we had people initially started as a Conan Discord, so we have people there from Conan. Then now we've got Dune stuff. We talk about Star Wars. We talk about Warhammer. We talk about Fallout. I think there was some WoW talk today too. So yeah, we just trying to nerd out because nerding is good, and we like nerdy people. We like nerdy conversation, and we talk about food. We talk about a lot of food. Kiloe and Paolo over there showing off all their food because they're mean to us. Food. On that note, before I wrap up, my birthday is coming September 4th. I hope to be doing a cooking stream on that day. We'll be doing some Hobbit food because I'm Hobbit shaped. Um, we don't feel bad at all about the WoW talk. It's we got it. It's what it's there for, right? For us to nerdy. And on that note, an ad's going to start here in a minute, so it's a good time for us to wrap it up. Find me on my Discord, and I will catch everybody out on the sands. So we'll catch you next time. Bye. Let's see, where's the buttons?